And the Oscar goes to Green Book.
Well, another year, another disappointing yet unsurprising result, I guess. In all honesty though, this was probably the best hosted Academy Awards I've seen in a while, with some of the worst content to show for it. I really wouldn't mind if the Academy just dropped the whole host thing and started doing their presentation like they did this year, straight and to the point. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, this was still a pretty baffling year for the Oscars. It almost looks like this year wanted me to hate the films I liked throughout 2018. What do I mean? Well, in all honesty, I actually really enjoyed Bohemian Rhapsody. I gave it a 6 out of 10. Sure, it has its controversies, some of them are quite worrying, but in the end, despite being inaccurate and kind of disrespectful to the original events, it was very enjoyable. And yes, Malek did a great performance. He was probably the only good thing that came out of that movie. Well, I would have liked for other actors like Christian Bale, Viggo Mortensen, or Willem Dafoe to win. I guess Rami was okay too. And no, the editing and sound categories weren't deserving in my opinion. That's just us being obsessed with the Queen. And yeah, I also really like Green Book. I thought it was great when I watched it. I personally gave it an 8 out of 10. But now I'm kind of bitter that it won over Roma or The Favorite. Heck, even BlacKkKlansman was better in my opinion. But that's how it is. It's a politically correct choice to make. And yeah, Roma was too. But that would have probably caused a lot of fuss since it's a Netflix film and a foreign language one as well. You just can't be too progressive, I guess. So, Green Book sits with the rest of politically correct movies that win Best Picture and... Oh damn. Well, so much for the Me Too movement, I guess. In any case, let's get on with the video. If anything, this result proves the point that the better movies are actually lying elsewhere. So let's get to it. First up is First Reform. Yup, 2018 was apparently the year for number-based titled movies. First Reform was directed by Paul Schrader, a very well-known director, but most notably known as an amazing writer, who's worked on classics like Taxi Driver and Raging Bull. In that sense, First Reform is somewhat of his magnum opus. He really gives it his all here. The film follows a pastor from this small tourist attraction like church, who starts to spiral out of control after a soul-changing encounter he has with an environmental activist and his pregnant wife. Now, I have to make a quick disclaimer up to this point. I'm not a religious person. I say this because I went in afraid that this was going to be one of those films that tries to make you question your faith. But no, this was not really the case. What I'm trying to say here is that, whether you're a religious person or not, this movie can still be for you. The film instead circles around various themes of environmental consciousness, the involvement of the church on certain political matters, our obliviousness to the damage we're doing to the planet and to ourselves as well. This film works in so many levels. You can be looked through so many angles and there will still be something to find there. The film poses a battle between our own state of mind, hope or despair. Are we hopeful for the future? Or have we just given up and accepted the fact that we've doomed ourselves? This works beautifully as it impacts the perception about the ending. If you see this film and don't understand the ending at first, look closer. Try to question the actions, the meanings, see if things add up or not. The truth lies behind those cues. If you're an optimist, a person who is hopeful in a general sense, you may see the ending in a more positive light. However, if you are more of a pessimist or rather realist person, maybe the ending will be a sad one, with more despair hidden inside of it. It works both ways and makes a great commentary on our own state of mind. Lastly, this film is very dialogue based, which may bore a lot of people. However, the conflict lies inside set lines. The dialogues are as interesting as they are intense. They really grab your attention. In terms of nominations, or shall we say snubs, this film was heavily snubbed in more than one category. Ethan Hawke's performance was astounding. He definitely deserved to be nominated and probably should have won. The film was worthy of a Best Picture nod, as well as cinematography, editing, and directing. To be honest, I'm not quite sure what happened here. Paul Schrader is a big name in Hollywood as it is, so I'm surprised this just went mostly under the radar. Next up is Climax by Gaspar Noé. Now, I should probably have a disclaimer for this one. So, to me this is a 2018 film. It was originally released in 2018 and it has been shown in most film festivals that year. That is, after all, how I got to see it. However, it wasn't commercially released in the US until March of this year, and as you may know, one of the Academy's criteria for being eligible for the awards is to be commercially released in the US during the year, along with some other shenanigans. So, in reality, this couldn't be eligible because of this technicality, which also means that it can run for the Oscars of next year. However, either way I'm pretty sure it's still gonna be heavily ignored, so you can take it as a snub of this year or the next one. And if I'm wrong and this is considered for next year's ceremony, I'll probably be happily surprised, although I doubt it. That being said, what is this film about? Well, the plot is very simple really. This film loosely follows a group of French dancers who are having a celebration party after having a long rehearsal for a competition they'll have. They celebrate by drinking sangria and everything is fine until they start feeling weird, and it is alleged that the sangria has been spiked with LSD. Now, that is as much as I want to say about this film, but from the point on, shit completely goes insane. Noé is already well known as a director, particularly for delving into the more obscure and disturbing side of things. He's known for films like Love, Enter the Void, and most notably, Irreversible. So, it is no surprise that this film is a complete exercise of this subject. Chaos. He definitely knows how to create an actual nightmare out of a situation. He's done disturbing scenery so many times before, yet this film serves as a vessel for pure chaos to unfold on the scene. The story itself is just an excuse for him to do whatever he pleases, explore our darkest corners, and unbind from any restrictions. It's fun, turned to debauchery, turned to horror. This film is beautifully shot. There are a lot of long shots, a staple of his, very immersive music, and a lot, and I mean a lot, of disturbing imagery. In that sense, Climax is a film that can be hard to digest for most viewers. It is definitely not for everyone, but for those willing to take the risk, it is definitely an experience to behold. This film managed to disgust me, disturb me, and is probably my favorite film of 2018. But in case you think I'm cheating with this film because of the technicality that I said, let's say I chose Annihilation, which is also pretty great. Finally, in this video, let's talk about Suspiria by Luca Guadagnino. This film was definitely a bit polarizing. As you may have noticed, unlike my previous video, this one has films that are somewhat darker in tone. Suspiria is a remake of the 1977 classic by Dario Argento. The original is a very stylized film that uses a lot of neon colors like reds and blues and more reds. It is definitely a classic on its own, and if you like classic horror, I highly recommend it. However, this version of Suspiria only borrows some of the plot elements of the film and instead decides to replicate the tone and sensations that the original wanted to transmit. As you may know, Guadagnino was responsible for 2017's Call Me By Your Name, one of the best films of that year and one that probably would have won Best Picture if another gay-themed film hadn't won already the previous year. Remember, no repeats. In any case, it is widely established that he is a master of his work, and it was quite surprising to see him tackle a film so vastly different from the ones he's done before. However, apparently he's very fond of horror films, and of Suspiria in particular, so you can tell that what he does here, he does with love. So, what's the film about? Well, to put it loosely, the film follows an American dancer as she enters one of the most world-renowned dance companies located in Berlin in 1977. There is an evil aura surrounding this school as we start to suspect that there is some sort of cult related to witchcraft that is haunting the dancers. Now, what is so special about the film? Well, for starters, and as always, the performances are amazing. We have Dakota Johnson playing this troubled girl who is escaping from an abusive family and who is a very good dancer. Then there is Tilda Swinton, who just blows it out of the park. She even plays more than one character and you probably won't notice unless you look at the cast of characters in the film. Also, the film has a very impressive soundtrack done by Thom Yorke. Yup, the lead singer from Radiohead. There is also some awesome and very gruesome death scenes that are expertly executed and are very satisfying to watch. But, most of all, I'd say the most impressive thing here are the dances. I seriously don't know what it is. Maybe it's the choreography, or the performances, maybe it's the camera work, the angles, the movement, I don't know. But there's something about how these are executed that just grab hold of me as I watch them. They have this evil, satanic tone to them that almost enchant you in a way, and I can't get enough of them. I previously mentioned Climax, which is also a very dance-heavy film, and I can't really decide which I like more. They are both great and shot perfectly in their own way, so I don't think it would be even fair to compare them. Suspiria could have gotten nominations for directing, cinematography, acting, soundtrack, best song. Seriously, Suspiria by Thom Yorke is very freaking good. But once again, horror just won't do for the Oscars, and that's just about it. Okay guys, just before I end this video, I'd like to point out something that bothered me while I was making this and the previous one. With these videos, I'm not really intending to be opinionated. I'm not trying to impose that these films are the very best of 2018. There were probably some that also deserve to be taken into account and some that I didn't even have the time to mention. But what I think that this should leave you with is to not take the Oscars so seriously. I feel like some people just look at them and feel like they are a guide to what's objectively good, as if what they say is the law. And no, that isn't the case. At least that's what I'm trying to say here. This is just another award ceremony with an agenda, and if you want to look deeper in film, be sure that you'll find so much more than what the Academy Awards has to offer. I think there is a purpose to the Oscars, a positive one, and while it seems to have lost track over the last few years, I have hopes that it will eventually understand the true nature of its purpose, which is to inspire filmmakers to create more, to be better, to give it their best. But for now, remember that this is just another ceremony in which Hollywood decides to applaud itself and give itself a pat in the back. So don't take it too seriously and try to be open to new and more exciting films outside of what the Academy may be offering you. And that's about it for this video. I hope you guys like it. I think this was somewhat of an improvement over the previous one, and I hope to see you on the next one. I may be intending on doing videos related to explaining certain films, its themes and ending. So if you like this, please be sure to hit like and subscribe. It really does help me, and I'll see you next time. Peace.
This is what I was thinking.